You're watching Black Coffee, The Refill. We're joined right now by Gwen Carr, the mother of Eric Garner, who was tragically killed 5 years ago.
Yes, today.
5 years ago today by Daniel Pantaleo?
Yes.
Officer Daniel Pantaleo in New York. First of all, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. You all are beautiful people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Remind me of my youth.
You still look that way.
Yeah. You look great.
You know, I guess the first thing I wondered about was what it meant for you 5 years later to be out in public really having to talk about and deal with this stuff.
Well, I never thought it would take 5 years for me to get some type of closure, which I haven't as of yet, because it took 5 years for the DOJ to call us on Monday to say they wanted to meet with us yesterday. And we says, well, wow, maybe this is the decision that we've been looking for. Well, we got to the office yesterday about 9 a.m. and sitting in the office waiting for them to come in to tell us what it was they wanted to talk to us about. And while sitting there, it comes over social media, the feds are not going to indict. We hadn't even had the meeting yet.
Wow.
Everyone else in the nation knew before we did.
Wow.
Because then my phone started blowing up. Everyone was calling me or texting me, you know, like giving me their sympathy, telling me how sorry they was that the feds decided not to go forward. And this was really an insult. Because if you go, first of all, why did you wait till the eve of the anniversary to do it? Second of all, why did you let everyone else know before you let the family know?
Why do you think they waited? I mean, they could have literally done this any other day.
Any other day. It was a smack in the face. That's the way I took it. Because you wanted to do this just before the anniversary so the nation would know that the feds was not going to go forward with this case.
One of the deciding votes on this comes from a person appointed by Donald Trump.
Well, we know what administration we're in.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect them to do the right thing, but I was very disappointed because we are still in a nation called America. And it should be a democracy, and you're supposed to do what's right.
Wow, it's just, I can understand it's a lot, and it's a lot for us here. But when we know that, you just mentioned that you knew that somewhat they weren't going to do the right thing.
Yeah, it was in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But, you know, everyone seen my son being murdered on video.
Point blank, period.
Yes.
Like we saw it visually.
Yes. Then we went through a departmental trial where the PBA lawyer was going to prove it wasn't a chokehold. In other words, the rest of the world, we had our lying eyes didn't see what we saw.
Right.
And then he said, now the DOJ says there were conflicting autopsy reports. The one who actually did the autopsy, she said point blank it was a chokehold and had credentials that was, very credible. The other expert that they flew in from Missouri never seen my son's body, never looked at the report. He was just an expert, and he said it wasn't a chokehold. How do you determine that? They paid, so we found out he was just a paid person to come in to say what they wanted him to say. So how could that be conflicting autopsy reports? There's no conflict.
It's an expert and a non-expert saying different things. One who saw the body and one who did. I mean,
but she was an expert. She was definitely an expert.
Right.
Because she explained from front to back what she did, what she found, and then she called it a lethal cascade. And the expert that that came in from Missouri First of all, they couldn't get him here. They had to delay the trial 2 weeks to get him here. Somebody who never even knew of my son. All he heard is what the PBA lawyer told him and what they paid him to say. And he came in and he did just that.
And yesterday we saw the photos and the videos of your family still outside fighting. I believe it was one of your nieces or your granddaughter who was out there saying that she won't leave.
Yes, my
until
granddaughter.
Your
That was,
granddaughter.
one of Eric's daughters.
Eric's
Yeah.
daughter saying that she won't leave. So what? It's just so crazy because we always talk about injustices here, and now we're literally looking at a product of what is happening. So we're all just trying to process it.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about what the feeling is in your family and the fights that you know you still have to do in order to try and get some type of justice here.
We're still waiting on New York City Police Department to come up with their decision because we sat through really a trial for a month. And listening to testimony, listening to the police literally lying, getting caught in their lies. But nothing happens to them. And they're talking about, oh, we have zero tolerance with the police lying. They're lying right there because all those witnesses that got on the stand was lying through their teeth. And when they were cross-examined and when it came to a point where, they knew they was caught, they just didn't say anything.
Wow.
But nobody does nothing about it. Nobody holds these officers accountable. This is why they keep doing what they do.
Right.
If just like I heard you all talking about children,
Yeah.
if you let children do just what they want to, children know exactly what they can get away with.
Yep.
So, and this is what the police officers are, children to their commandos. And they says, hey, if I go out and I murder somebody, all I have to say is, I feel threatened.
I'm fearing for my
fear
life.
for my life.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of it. It gets swept under the rug. But this is why we can't let these cases get swept under the rug. Just like my son, it's too late for my son because there's no justice for him because he's deceased. But we want closure for the family. We want some sort of accountability so that we could say, oh, well, for once they did sort of the right thing for against these police officers. Because as you know, that day, it wasn't only Daniel Pantaleo. There was at least a dozen police officers who did the wrong thing.
I saw the tape.
They had some that just looked the other way. They had some that lied on official reports and others that pounced on my son and just held him down. And they said, oh, well, we can't prove that they didn't that they meant to kill him. Okay, he said, I can't breathe. 11 times he said, I can't breathe. He tightened the chokehold on him as he said he couldn't breathe. Is that intent or what?
There's the answer. I think your point about wanting justice, some kind of justice right now, is so important. And when we come back, we want to talk a little bit more about what justice looks like for you and for the family.